Hey, it is Gary Carpenter again. Happy Thursday. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying your June 11th and getting ready for, well, the weekend coming up here. And hopefully, you're not living in a city right now that is going crazy. But anyhow, I just wanted to jump on here and do our Thursday training, which happens to be on, just listed, just solds, and then also kind of the Geographical Farm is very similar to the type of call that you're going to make with maybe just a few different words or whatever the case may be. So I just, again, waiting for a few people to pop on here. If you're already on, looks like I got a couple people on. Do me a favor in the comments, if you could, please. I want you to put in there what your annual goal is for this year. How many transactions are you planning on doing? And then also, too, are you currently doing just listed, just solds? Are you calling a GEO farm? Do you have one of those put together yet? How many houses do you have in your GEO farm? So just trying to get a little interactive with that. So yeah, post anything you can, and we'll go from there. So let's see. Let's get started. I've got my slides here. Hang on just a sec. Let me pop them up here. So again, like I said, we're doing just listed, just sold, and the GEO farm. So let's start with the just listed, just sold. On this, to me, the first thing that I always like to talk about is the 20, 20, and 40. And to me, the 20, 20, and before I do the 20, 20, and 40, what I wanted, I always forget this, but in order for me to see you and know that comment, because I'm streaming this currently on Facebook, on a couple different platforms. I'm also streaming this on YouTube and LinkedIn. So I get all kinds of comments. Well, not all kinds, but anybody who comments comes in from any one of those. So, but since I'm posting on Facebook Live, in order for me to see your face and your name, I need to see. So like right now, I'm going to post this up. I've got a user that's watching right now that's set their goal for 40 to 50, not calling a GEO farm or have one put together. So I don't know who that is. But if you go to StreamYard.com/Facebook, you can it's a simple button that you push to give Facebook permission to use your face and your name while you're in this. And once you do it once, you never have to do it again. So anyhow, all right. So back into the 20, 20, and 40. So imagine that you just listed a house, and it doesn't. I think the biggest myth is a lot of times people think that the only way that you can do a just listed or a just sold is your own listing or your own sale listing that's sold. And that's not true. I mean, you can do it on just about any. I mean, you could ask for permission if it happens to be somebody with a different brokerage firm. But at the same time, I would say if you had 10 listings that went up because of it, and this was even before the market was as hot as it is right now, and that was probably 4 or 5 years ago. But I would say not very rarely do agents do any circle marketing around a listing. So my thought is that where we do a lot of just listed, just solds is in our farm area, because again, we're inviting people to open houses. We're just kind of touching base. We've been working our farm for a little over 10 years now. And so we're pretty well established. So most people, not all, but most people know who we are. We've got the farm that we're currently working is about a little over 2,000. So, but the 20, 20, and 40 is the idea is that you go 20 to the left of the house, 20 to the right of the house, and 40 across the street. And what are you doing? Well, you're circle marketing. You're making phone calls. You can also door knock those as well. But I would just keep that open. But you can call, followed up with a mailer. So the biggest waste of money that you can do is to do that in reverse, is just to only send a mailer and not follow up with a phone call. Okay. Where most real estate agents, if they do a just listed or a just sold, they're mailing, right? Because you don't really have phone numbers for these 80 people that you're going to prospect to. So the best way to do it is to door knock, make a flyer. And I think that might be my next point, but you can door knock, make a flyer, hand them out. But also too, if you've got Mojo Dialer, in Mojo Dialer, they, not only are you, buying up areas and getting data, but you can also do streets to be able to get phone numbers. Most of the bigger companies have some type of a system that you can log in, get a street, and get phone numbers. But for the most part, they're not, again, calling around a listing is not as effective as if you can door knock. But again, calling is better than nothing, because I don't think that there's any bad lead generation. There's only good, better, and best. And when it comes to, if you're going to invite people to an open house, make up the open house flyer with all the information. If somebody's not home, you can put the flyer in the door, and then you're going to increase the odds of more people showing up to your open house too. So the next thing is, obviously we've talked about it already, is open house promotion. So when it comes to just listed, just solds, I'll go over the dialogues here at the end for both that and also the GEO Farm, because they're very similar, if not almost the same. So a geographical farm is, first thing you need to do is you need to identify an area, okay, and figure out where you want to start to market to, and then you also have to make a commitment, right? And that's a financial commitment, because a GEO Farm is not just sending one postcard out, or a newsletter out, or doing it for a quarter. You have to commit for the long haul. I mean, this is something that if you're going to do a GEO Farm, it needs to be something that's done and at least committed to over a year, if not 2 years, because you're really not going to get the results unless you really kind of engage yourself and get involved into the community of that neighborhood. And so the suggestion is to, I'm going to just pull up all my, because I know I'm talking over these. Hang on just a second. All right, hold on. All right, backspace. All right, so typically the neighborhood that you're looking at getting involved in is a first-time homebuyer neighborhood. So using Omaha as an example, that's something that a first-time homebuyer house would buy. So 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 2-car garage is that definition of a first-time homebuyer house here. Obviously, with 2 incomes coming in, some people are buying for their first house. They're buying that bigger house, which they're skipping that 322, and they're going to the 4-3. Well, I would say actually 4-3-3 or 4-4-3, 4 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, 3-car garage. And so for that typical first-time homebuyer house, the idea is that they're not going to be there for very long. So there might be the 6 to 7 to 8 year turnover in an area, and you want to be able to be right around, you got to find out what the return on investment is. And typically that's for the past 3 years. So for an example, I'm going to use a neighborhood called Wynwood here in Omaha, Nebraska. I know that it's got 335 houses in the subdivision. And I know that by doing the research, which I did the research for you guys in 2017. So you're going to go to your MLS and you're going to do a search. And the year you're going to go January 1 to December 31 for 2017. 2018 and 2019. The idea is the past 3 years. And you're wanting to find out what is your return on investment. So if there's 332 houses, my suggestion for return on investment in a neighborhood is that there's anywhere between 7 and 10% turnover. So if there's 332 houses, the idea for 10%, just using easy math, is there's 33 houses that have sold in that subdivision. So in Wynwood in 2017, 24 houses sold. And in 2018, 26 houses sold. In 2019, 29 houses have sold. So that's close to 7 to 8% for that subdivision. So when you look at that, you say, okay, so in that area, on average, 27 houses sell. The price range of that specific area is, say, about $180,000. Let's just use 200 for easy math. 6% commission. So there's going to be a 12% commission that's going to be paid out. If you're listing the houses, you're going to get 60% of that commission. So just rounding off the numbers, you're going to get probably about $7,000 is on that. So 7 times 27 is, I don't know, is that 14 million? So there's a potential of pretty good return on investment in that subdivision. Now, you're right. You're not going to get all of the houses the first year, the second year, or even probably the third year. Typically, you're going to get, anywhere from 3 to 4% if you do the plan that I'm going to show you. Right now in Keystone, there's a little over 2,000 houses. We send out a mailer every single month, and we've been doing it for 10 years. And we're getting both on buy and sell side, because we live in the subdivision and we're involved in the community. I would say about 30% of our business comes from this subdivision. We know a lot of people that live in the area. We know a lot of people that are moving into the area. So I don't think this subdivision is much different than any subdivision that's around the country, as long as you're going to work it correctly and be committed to working it. So let's go on to, right now we're mailing once a month. So we're mailing a postcard. And just so you guys know, we use a company called Umbrella Graphics out of Seattle. And Marty Longe, Longe, is actually going to be my guest next Tuesday. So he's going to talk about the marketing. They are, for an oversized postcard, we have a lot of call to actions. I'm going to show you what our postcard looks like here in just a second. But it is a great piece to be able to send out. It's very inexpensive. We have our lender partner who actually pays for everything. So honestly, it's a no-brainer for us because it's pretty cheap. So, all right. So a mailer once a month. So committing to sending out a mailer, typically to first-time home buyer neighborhood. Wait a minute. Okay. Mail once a month. There we go. I got sidetracked off my slides. So you're mailing it once a month, and you're mailing a postcard. Now I have calendar up there too. Just a reminder for me is that I always want to have one piece that goes out once a year. That's a keeper piece, right? That is something that they're going to put up on their refrigerator. And anybody here that is on the call that has ever gone into a house to list a house, and on their refrigerator happens to be a calendar of another real estate agent. So why do we do it? For the most part, the calendars are there to keep you top of mind. They're just a nice thing to do. People love them, and they just won't throw them away. They'll just throw them up on the refrigerator. So you've got to commit to once a month. And I would almost say that if you're not willing to commit to starting a GEO farm and finding out what your return on investment in an area and it being a first-time home buyer, and you're not willing to do that for a commitment for at least 3 years, I would not even start it. So just keep that in mind. We also mail out quarterly reports. So as we are getting to know the neighborhood, as we are, the events and stuff that I'm going to talk about here shortly, or people that call us for real estate advice or need a handyman or need something, a deck person or something, a referral to be able to work on their home, we're gathering information. right? So I have all of their addresses, I have all of their names, but I don't have their email addresses, and I don't have their phone numbers for the majority of them. But then I categorize in my database. I put them into my sphere of influence once I've had a conversation with them, or I've stopped over and said hi to them, or whatever the case may be. And now I can email them. So once I got an email address, then what I do, our website, we use a company called Real Geeks. We're able to do market reports. So I then put with their permission, I ask them if they want to know what when a house goes up for sale, or if something happens in the subdivision in regards to real estate selling, would you guys want to know about it? And 100% of the time they say yes, and say, okay, well, I'm going to email you. I'm going to put you on an automatic email. And so then with the capture, I know who's opening up those emails, clicking on those emails, that type of stuff. So again, when you're starting a farm, you're really only starting with addresses and names. And then you start to build that by, again, this is your tribe of your neighborhood, or a neighborhood that you're going to adopt. And you're going to go in there and start to build relationships with people. And once you build relationships with people, you're going to get their names, their phone numbers, their email addresses, and you're going to get permission to be able to send them information that is going to be valuable to them in a way of real estate. And just to give you an idea, so there's 2,000 houses in Keystone, and I would say we probably over 10 years, we have maybe 200 or 300 full contacts with all that information that are in there. And that then becomes a great source of when they decide to go sell their home, that they're getting mail from us, they're getting emails, they're getting all of our marketing pieces, not just the stuff that we're sending to the farm. They're getting that too, but they're not just getting that. So, so this is an example of a postcard that we send out. Again, there's call to actions on it. There's places they can go offline. And there's a great message. It's colorful. It's oversized. So when it goes into their mailbox, it's going to stand out from anything that goes in there. The other thing to keep in mind too, is that when you're looking for a geographical farm, is that you can EDDM them versus bulk mail. So EDDM is every door direct mail. And the only difference between EDDM and bulk mail is the cost. It's going to be right here in Omaha, Nebraska. It's about, I would say, 10 cents cheaper per piece to mail EDDM versus bulk mail. Either way, it's still a good investment, because if you look, I don't know if you can see this, but if you look and it says, it's got our lender's logo on there, they pay for this. And for 2,000 houses, it costs us about $350 a month for postcards, and it's about $450 a month for postage. And that's EDDM, not bulk mail. And so we're spending about $800 a month for this. But also, too, we're closing 20, 25 deals in the subdivision. So it's well worth it. And I don't pay for any of the marketing. So that hopefully at some point I'll make a video on that as well, as far as the dialogues and how to put that stuff together. So so the other things that you want to look at is kind of I do quarterly events. So, and I call them promotions, right? So we do an annual block party. We live in the neighborhood. We live in a cul-de-sac, so it's a little bit easier for us. But I get sponsors to help with we do the food. Everybody brings an appetizer, a side. We actually do, if you live on this part of the neighborhood, or if you live on this part of the neighborhood, some are going to bring appetizers, some are going to bring desserts, stuff to share. If they have to bring their own chairs, they have to bring their own drinks. We have music. We have games for the kids. We usually get a bouncy house. And the more sponsors we get involved in this, the more activities that we can have during the event. Now, how we're going to do it this year, I'm hoping that it doesn't change much, but we'll see. We do a dumpster day. So we get 2 great big huge dumpsters. There's a picture of one of them on there. And in those, they can, there's criteria of what they can throw away. And again, we get a sponsor that pays for those dumpsters. We get signs we put up. And we also promote it in a card that goes out the month prior to the dumpster day happening. And we're able to get email addresses, and we typically will have people RSVP before they come up, so that way we know who's coming up and we get information that way. And that's actually how we got most of our information, from the people in the subdivision. Another way is to do a neighborhood garage sale. And really all this is just sponsoring a garage sale. And again, promoting that. The other kind of nice thing with the subdivision that we do have is they have a great neighborhood watch, and they also have a great an association. Not that we pay dues or anything to, but they have a newsletter that goes out once a quarter that we advertise in. And so it's really another good way to be able to get involved in the community. So, let's see, what else? And so the neighborhood garage sale, and then we also do American flags. So we go to theflagcompany.com and we order flags. We get 1,500 of them, and we disperse those flags 4 or 5 days before the 4th of July throughout the subdivision. So if you can imagine 1,500 flags up and down the streets of the subdivision, and we make up a little bitty card that's got our contact information. It says "God Bless America," and we get that through a sign company. So the flags themselves, we pay for those, and for 1,500 of them, I think it ends up being $45 for every 100. So I think it ends up being, with postage and not postage, but delivery and everything, about $800 for that once a year. And the last thing that I can say is just get involved. I mean, get involved in the community, get involved in the associations, and if you don't have an association, create one. If you don't have a newsletter, you can create one. Get involved in all that stuff, because I'll just tell you right now, if you do, again, starting a geographical farm is not just sending a mailer once a quarter. Okay. I mean, you can do that, but then you're just going to be disappointed because you're not getting what you want from it. I mean, I didn't do the math on this, but when you look at, when you look at the geographical farm, from, let's see, we spend $800 on flags. I bet you I spend about $500 on the garage party. I don't spend anything on the dumpsters. I don't spend anything on the mailers that go out once a month. I do advertise in the newsletter once a quarter, and that's $200. So we're probably spending $3,000 to $4,000 in our 2,000 subdivision, 2,000 house subdivision. And we're probably closing anywhere from, on a low end, 15 to 22 transactions at an average of sale price of $225, $300 in the subdivision. And, a lot of times we're double ending them because we have buyers for the houses before they even come up on the market. So, it has paid off for us. It wasn't always that way. I mean, the first 3 years wasn't that way. We do door knock. We get involved with the kids. There's also a community pool that we're involved in that we market to. So there's a lot of things that we can do within the geographical farm. And again, it's always looking at, when you decide to go farm an area, what is the return on investment? Where are the opportunities that I can market to become top of mind that are going to be able to help you? So let's jump into some dialogue. So I think, for me, when I'm calling the just listed, just solds, or when we're calling the GEO farm, I really treat those the same way as I would a cold call. And Jared Lepelgus, when I did an interview with him, and then also Bob Leffler last week, it's their dialogue. And you can go to fearlessagent.com and you can get Bob doing the dialogue, not live, but a videotape. And there's a lot of videos on there for different type of dialogues. But the one that I would use would be the cold calling one. And so essentially, when you're making the phone call, whoever answers on the end, you're going to kind of know, because you have that, at least have that information. If you have their phone number, you probably got their address, you probably got their name. Now, not all those things match up, right, when you're buying phone numbers or whatever. But my dialogue would be, "Hey, John, my name's Gary Carpenter. I'm a real estate agent with MREA, and I was calling to see if you might be thinking of selling your house." Now, for the most part, I'm going to get a no on that, right? You're going to get a no. Probably you call 100, you're probably going to get 98 no's. Okay. But it's getting through the no's in order to get the yes. So the one caveat that Bob added to it, that we've added to our dialogues, is, do you have plans of selling ever? So when they say no, we're not selling. We're not thinking about selling. Not at all. You're gonna have to take me out of here in a pine box and say, okay, well, do you have, and it doesn't matter what they say. I then follow up with, do you have plans of selling ever? Right. And then that's the magic is in that. But also too, when you're making those circle calls, a lot of times it's just a matter of catching somebody at the right time. It's a numbers game. It's usually luck. Sometimes they may tell you no on the phone, but then call you back later with some questions. They may not have wanted to say anything, or they were busy. And now that, maybe you send a postcard because you just called 2 weeks prior to, and now they're giving you a phone call. So, and then once they do say no, and they say no to, have you ever thought about selling ever? No, you're going to have to take me out of here in a pine box. You just say, okay, well, I just want to thank you for your time and for calling. And if you have any questions in regards to real estate, you've got my number, and please feel free to give me a call. And then you move on to the next one. You just go to the next one. There's people that I have probably called in the 10 years, probably 8, 9, 10 times, right? And I do, every once in a while, I do get somebody that gets upset with me and say, I'm never going to move. Why do you keep calling me? And so I have taken some people off of my list. But for the most part, I mean, those are few and far between. So let's say they say yes. Then the next question is, where do you, where would you be moving to? So if you were to move, where would you be moving to? And you just kind of wait to hear what the answer is, right? Because you're not going to go to the next question. The art of sales is more listening than talking, but answering open-ended questions. So where are you moving to? Could be, as like even Bob said last week, could come in a few different ways, right? So it could be, are you planning to rent or buy, right? So they're moving, but wherever they go, you want to know, are they planning on renting? Are they planning on purchasing the next home? Are you going to be buying something bigger? Or are you going to buying something smaller? Is it going to be more expensive, or is it going to be less expensive? And then when is the soonest that you need the money from your house and you want to be into the next one? So that's kind of if they say 6 months, I mean, that's not very far away. If they say a year from now, they say, well, we haven't decided that yet, whatever it is, again, you've found a seller lead. And so now what you need to do is you need to make sure you do not get off that phone without the information. You want to follow up with anybody that you ever have a contact with, whether it's a conversation or you meet them face to face or whatever the case may be. You always, did I say it? Always. I was just talking into my microphone. You always want to make sure that you walk away from that conversation with a phone number so that you can call them, an email address so that you can email them, and make sure that you have got the right address so that you can mail them. And then I would even go around and find out and see if they are, I don't know, on Facebook, so that way you can Facebook them as well. Let me see something here. What else do we got? I think that might be it. Yeah. So next week, what do we got next week? Next week, we're going to have, which is June 16th at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're going to have Marty Lange with Umbrella Graphics. He's actually based out of Seattle. And as far as what's going on in Seattle today, who knows? I'll have to check in with him to make sure he's still good with what's going on. If you don't know what's going on with Seattle, you can go to any news station right now. I think they've created a sovereign state in Seattle right now. So not a part of the United States anymore. And they've taken over some, I don't know. You have to go. I was catching a little bit of it before I got on this call. So, and then also next Thursday, You know, not everybody's cup of tea is FSBOs and expireds, but we're going to cover them. We're going to go through the do's and the don'ts with expireds. We'll go through some dialogues with expireds. I may even show you an expired presentation that that I used to use. I don't really necessarily use it much anymore because I really don't work expireds now or FSBOs. Now, what I do is I do work expireds and I do work for sell by owners in my farm area. So I just don't go chase them down anymore because I don't really need to because of the leads that we're getting right now. So anyhow, that is all I got. Let me check and see if there's any comments. Does anybody have any comments? Looks like not. So if you, again, I would suggest that you go back and you watch this video. I am going to upload on the Facebook private page, Master Real Estate Academy, the dialogue that I just went over. You can also, again, go to fearlessagent.com and go to Bob Leffler's website, and you can see him do it live. So, or you can just watch this over and over and over again. So anyhow, I appreciate you guys for coming and checking this out. Love everybody out there, and can't wait to see you guys next week. Have a great weekend. And again, if you, what is it? I don't think I ever did. Did I do my advertising? Hang on just a second. Let's see. Okay, there it is. If you happen to be earning less than you wish you were, and you are open to the idea of receiving some help and would like to learn more, you can call or text me anytime at 402-680-7000. I am a coach, and we do have some great programs, and we would love to chat with you if that's something that you would like. So again, thanks a lot, and we'll talk to you guys later. Have a great week. Post on here before you leave. I want you to post, what did you get from this video, if anything? Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you later.